Bear Cub was stuck in a giant rubber tire. What this baby did was shocking. Let us know where you're watching from. If you love my content, consider supporting it with a super thanks. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help us to remain in touch with amazing people like you. In the small town of Pinewood, where autumn leaves painted the world in amber and gold, lived Lily Morgan, a quiet girl with curious eyes that seemed to understand more than words could say. Her cottage sat at the edge of Whispering Pines Forest, where the boundary between human dwellings and wild terrain blurred into a peaceful coexistence. Lily's parents ran the local wildlife rehabilitation center, their days filled with nursing injured creatures back to health. On this particular morning, a strange feeling hung in the crisp air. Lily stood on her porch, watching the mist roll between ancient trees. Something called to her, not a sound exactly, but a feeling that tugged at her heart. A flock of birds scattered suddenly from a distant part of the forest, their wings beating frantically against the sky. "Something's wrong," Lily whispered, her breath forming small clouds in the chilly air. Her parents had left before dawn to drive an injured fox to the larger rehabilitation facility 2 towns over. They wouldn't be back until evening, leaving Lily alone with strict instructions not to venture into the deeper parts of the forest. But the unease that settled in her chest wouldn't let her stay put. Bundling up in her red woolen coat, Lily stepped off the porch and followed the narrow trail that wound between towering pines. The forest floor was carpeted with fallen leaves that crunched beneath her boots, announcing her presence to the watchful eyes hidden among the branches. Squirrels paused their morning gathering to observe her passing, and somewhere in the distance, a woodpecker drummed a warning rhythm. As Lily ventured deeper, the trees grew denser, blocking out more of the morning light. The feeling that had pulled her from home grew stronger, directing her off the familiar path and toward a part of the forest she had never explored. "Hello?" Lily called softly, unsure what or who she expected to answer. A faint sound reached her ears, not human, but filled with distress. Following the noise, Lily pushed through a thicket of bushes and gasped at what she found. In a small clearing stood an ancient oak tree, its massive trunk split by lightning long ago, creating a hollow large enough for a child to crawl inside. But it wasn't the tree that made Lily's heart skip a beat. Trapped in the hollow, its enormous wings spread helplessly against the wood, was the largest owl Lily had ever seen. The bird's feathers were a tapestry of browns and golds, and its eyes, amber with flecks of what looked like starlight, fixed on Lily with unmistakable intelligence. One wing was bent at an unnatural angle, clearly broken, while the other beat weakly against its wooden prison. Lily stood frozen, unable to look away from those eyes. They weren't filled with the wild fear she'd seen in other injured animals her parents had rescued. Instead, they held something deeper. A quiet dignity and a silent plea that transcended the barrier between human and creature. "You're hurt," Lily whispered, taking a cautious step forward. "How did you get stuck in there?" The owl blinked slowly, its head turning to follow her movement. Then, to Lily's amazement, it let out a soft hoot that sounded almost like a word. She shook her head, telling herself it was just her imagination playing tricks. But as she moved closer to examine the situation, the strangest feeling washed over her, a sense that this meeting was somehow meant to be, that the force that had drawn her into the forest this morning wasn't chance at all, but something far more mysterious. What Lily didn't know was that the owl was no ordinary bird, and that its appearance in the forest would change her life in ways she couldn't possibly imagine. She had no way of knowing that in the coming days she would discover abilities she never knew she possessed, face dangers that lurked in the shadows of Whispering Pines, and uncover secrets about her family and herself that had been buried for generations. All she knew in this moment was that a creature needed her help, and that somehow, against all logic, those starlit eyes were asking for something more than simple rescue. They were asking for trust. "I don't know how I'm going to get you out," Lily admitted softly, "but I promise. I'll try." The owl blinked again, and Lily could have sworn it nodded. Lily's mind raced through the rescue techniques her parents had taught her over the years. The hollow was too narrow for her to reach in and safely extract the owl without causing more damage to its wing. She would need tools, perhaps a rope or a branch to widen the opening. "I need to get some things from home," she told the owl, feeling slightly foolish for speaking to it as if it understood. "I promise I'll come back." As she turned to leave, the owl let out a distressed hoot that made her freeze in her tracks. The sound held such raw emotion that Lily felt it like a physical pull. When she looked back, the owl was staring at her with those starlit eyes, and a chill ran down her spine as a whisper of a thought formed in her mind. Not her own thought, but something foreign yet familiar. "Please hurry, they're coming." Lily stumbled backward, heart hammering against her ribs. Did you just—" The words died on her lips. Of course the owl hadn't spoken to her. That was impossible. She was letting her imagination run wild, that's all. Yet, as she hurried back through the forest, the weight of those eyes stayed with her, along with the unsettling feeling that the message had been real. The cottage was quiet when Lily burst through the door, her breath coming in sharp gasps. She grabbed her father's old backpack from its hook by the door and began filling it with supplies. A small first aid kit her mother had packed specifically for bird injuries, a length of soft rope, a water bottle, and a pair of gardening gloves. As an afterthought, she added a small blanket, soft flannel that wouldn't catch on feathers. As she worked, movement outside the window caught her eye. A black SUV with tinted windows was driving slowly past the cottage, out of place on the narrow forest road. Lily ducked down instinctively, though she couldn't have explained why. The vehicle stopped briefly at the edge of their property, then continued on. An uneasy feeling settled in the pit of her stomach. Rarely did strangers venture this far from town unless they had specific business at the rehabilitation center. And her parents weren't home to receive visitors. "They're coming." The whispered warning from the forest echoed in her memory. Was there a connection? Lily shook her head, trying to focus on the task at hand. The owl needed her help, and she was letting her overactive imagination distract her. With the backpack secured, Lily slipped out the back door and took a less visible path into the forest, keeping to the shadows of the trees. The morning had warmed slightly, but clouds were gathering overhead, threatening rain. She needed to hurry. The journey back to the ancient oak seemed longer this time, her mind filled with worries about the injured owl and the strange car. When she finally pushed through the last thicket of bushes, relief flooded through her. The owl was still there, watching the clearing with alert eyes. "I came back," Lily said softly, approaching the tree. "I'm going to try to help you now." The owl's gaze shifted from her to something behind her, and its feathers ruffled in alarm. Lily spun around, nearly dropping her backpack. At the edge of the clearing stood a tall figure dressed entirely in black, face obscured by the shadow of a hood. For a moment, neither moved, the forest eerily silent around them. Then the figure spoke, voice low and raspy. "Step away from the tree, child." Fear trickled down Lily's spine like ice water. The voice wasn't threatening exactly, but it held an authority that made her want to obey. Instead, she stood her ground, positioning herself between the stranger and the trapped owl. "Who are you?" she demanded, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. The figure took a step forward, and Lily could make out the sharp features of a woman's face beneath the hood. pale skin, high cheekbones, and eyes so dark they seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "My name is Corvina," the woman said, "and that creature behind you is not what it appears to be." Lily's hand instinctively moved to touch the rough bark of the oak tree, as if to reassure the owl. "It's injured and trapped. I'm just trying to help." Corvina's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Oh, child, some things are trapped for reasons beyond your understanding." She reached into her cloak and withdrew what looked like a glass vial filled with swirling silver liquid. "Now, please, step aside. I have no wish to harm you, but I will do what must be done." The owl let out a screech that sounded almost like a warning, and without thinking, Lily planted her feet more firmly. "No," she said. "I don't know who you are or what you want, but I'm not letting you near it." Something flashed in Corvina's dark eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or grudging respect. Brave, but foolish. "Do you even know what you're protecting?" Before Lily could respond, a crack of thunder split the sky and rain began to fall, light at first, then in heavy sheets that quickly soaked through her coat. Corvina glanced upward, annoyance crossing her features. "This isn't over," she said, tucking the vial back into her cloak. "The Guardian cannot hide forever, not even within these woods." Her eyes locked with Lily's once more. "Be careful, child. There are forces at work here that have existed long before your kind walked these lands." With those cryptic words, Corvina turned and disappeared into the trees, leaving Lily trembling with a mixture of fear and confusion. She stood frozen for several long moments, rain plastering her hair to her face, until a soft hoot from the owl brought her back to herself. When she turned, those amber eyes seemed to hold a new emotion, gratitude, and something that looked almost like regret. "What did she mean?" Lily whispered. "What are you?" The owl simply blinked, water droplets clinging to its feathers like tiny crystals. Whatever strange connection Lily had felt earlier, the whispered warning in her mind was silent now. But the encounter with Corvina had confirmed one thing. This was no ordinary bird. With shaking hands, Lily opened her backpack, determined to focus on the task at hand. The mystery would have to wait. First, she needed to free the owl from its prison. "Let's get you out of there," she murmured, pulling out the rope and assessing the split in the tree trunk. It was wide enough for the owl to have entered, but something, perhaps swelling of the wood from the rain, had closed the gap just enough to trap the creature inside. Lily looped the rope around one edge of the split and pulled with all her strength, trying to widen the opening. The wet wood groaned but didn't budge. Frustration welled up inside her as rain continued to pour down, making the ground beneath her feet slick with mud. "Come on," she urged through gritted teeth, pulling harder. Suddenly, a blinding flash of lightning struck a nearby tree, followed instantly by a deafening crash of thunder. The force of it sent Lily tumbling backward, landing hard on the forest floor. The ancient oak shuddered, and with a splintering crack, the hollow split wider. For a breathless moment, nothing happened. Then, in a flurry of wet feathers and golden light, yes, actual light seemed to emanate from within the owl's feathers. The bird extracted itself from the hollow and collapsed onto the ground, its injured wing dragging in the mud. Lily scrambled to her knees, reaching for the blanket in her backpack. "It's okay," she soothed, though her heart was racing. "I'm not going to hurt you." The owl watched her approach, no longer trying to move away. It seemed to understand that she was offering help. Carefully, Lily spread the blanket and inched closer, ready to wrap it gently around the injured creature. Just as her fingers brushed against the soft feathers, something extraordinary happened. The owl's form began to shimmer, like heat rising from hot pavement. The outline of its body blurred, feathers seeming to melt into the rain and mud. Lily scrambled backward, eyes wide with disbelief. Where the owl had been, a small figure now lay in the mud. A child, no bigger than Lily herself, with skin the color of polished mahogany and hair that shimmered with the same gold that had illuminated the owl's feathers. Most striking of all were the two appendages protruding from the child's back. Not wings exactly, but something between wings and arms, covered in what looked like a mixture of skin and downy feathers, one bent at an unnatural angle. The being, for Lily could no longer think of it as simply an owl, opened its eyes, revealing the same amber irises with flecks of starlight that had gazed at her from the hollow. Its lips parted, and in a voice that sounded like wind through leaves, it spoke. "Thank you, Lily Morgan," it said. "The debt is now mine to repay." Then its eyes fluttered closed, and it lay still in the pouring rain, leaving Lily frozen in shock, the blanket clutched forgotten in her trembling hands. For several heartbeats, Lily couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The world, as she knew it, had just shifted beneath her feet, revealing something extraordinary and impossible. Rain pelted her face, mingling with tears she hadn't realized she was crying. "Wake up," she whispered, finally finding her voice. "Please, wake up." The being remained motionless, its chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. The injured wing arm twitched occasionally, causing the small face to grimace even in unconsciousness. Lily knew she had to act quickly. Magical being or not, it was hurt and vulnerable in the storm. Pushing aside her fear and confusion, Lily gently wrapped the blanket around the small figure, careful to avoid touching the injured wing. Up close, she could see that what she had initially thought was hair was actually a crown of feathers, soft and downy, transitioning seamlessly into human-like skin. The being was light, impossibly light, as if its bones were hollow like a bird's, making it easier for Lily to lift. "I'm taking you home," she murmured, cradling the strange child against her chest. "You'll be safe there." The journey back through the forest was treacherous. Rain had transformed the paths into slippery trails of mud, and branches whipped in the wind, stinging Lily's face. The weight in her arms reminded her with every step that she carried something miraculous, something that shouldn't exist in her rational world. Halfway back to the cottage, a distant sound made Lily pause. Voices carried on the wind, accompanied by the beam of flashlight sweeping through the trees. Instinctively, she ducked behind a large boulder, holding her breath as the lights drew closer. "The signal came from this direction," a man's voice said, clinical and cold. "The Guardian's magic leaves traces." "Corvina said a child interfered," replied a second voice, deeper than the first. "A local girl." Lily's heart hammered against her ribs. They were looking for her, for them. Holding the unconscious being closer, she took a different path, moving as quietly as possible through the underbrush, away from the searching lights. By the time she reached the cottage, Lily was exhausted, soaked to the bone and trembling with cold and fear. She slipped in through the back door, checking frantically to make sure no unusual vehicles were parked nearby. The small figure in her arms had not stirred once during the journey, but its breathing remained steady. In the bathroom, Lily gently placed her strange charge on a pile of towels while she filled the tub with warm water. The wing arm was definitely broken, twisted at an angle that made Lily wince in sympathy. She had assisted her parents enough times to know the basics of splinting a bird's wing, but this was something altogether different. As she contemplated what to do next, the being's eyes flickered open, those amber orbs, flecked with starlight, fixed on Lily's face. "Water," it whispered, voice rustling like leaves. Lily helped the being sit up, supporting its delicate frame with one arm while offering a glass of water with her free hand. The being drank greedily, water dribbling down its chin. "Thank you, Lily Morgan," it said again, stronger this time. Lily stared, 1,000 questions burning in her mind. "How do you know my name? What are you? Who was that woman in the forest? Why are people looking for you?" A small smile curved the being's lips, revealing teeth that were slightly too sharp to be human. "So many questions. I am Koilo, guardian of the eastern woods, and I know your name because the trees whispered it to me." The being, Kolo, winced as it shifted position. "The collectors hunt me, as they hunt all my kind. Corvina leads them, searching for magic to harness." "Magic?" Lily echoed weakly. "Like real magic?" Kalo nodded solemnly. "The very essence that flows through all living things, stronger in some than others." Those starlit eyes studied Lily intently. "Strong in you, though you do not yet know it." Before Lily could process this startling statement, headlights swept across the front of the cottage, illuminating the living room through the windows. Koilo tensed, clutching Lily's arm with surprising strength. "They've found us," the guardian whispered, fear evident in its voice. "The collectors never give up a hunt." Lily moved to the window, peering cautiously through the curtains. The black SUV from earlier had returned, along with a second vehicle, a sleek silver car that seemed to shimmer oddly in the rain. 4 figures emerged, all dressed in the same dark clothing as Corvina. "We need to hide," Lily said, thinking quickly. Her parents had built a small cellar beneath the cottage for storing supplies and housing sick animals during harsh weather. Few people knew of its existence. "Can you walk?" Kalo nodded, though pain flickered across its face with every movement. Together, they made their way to the kitchen, where Lily pulled back the small rug that concealed the cellar door. The knock at the front door came just as they descended into darkness, Lily pulling the door shut silently above them. The cellar was cool and smelled of earth and dried herbs that hung from the low ceiling. Lily guided Kolo to a nest of blankets in the corner, originally prepared for orphaned fox kits but never used. The small guardian collapsed into them, breathing heavily from the exertion. Above them, Lily could hear footsteps moving through the cottage. Floorboards creaked as the intruders searched each room. She held her breath, one hand covering Kylo's mouth in case the pain caused the guardian to cry out. "The girl lives here," Corvina's distinctive voice filtered through the floorboards. "I can sense the guardian's magic lingering in the air." "Perhaps they fled deeper into the forest," suggested another voice. "No," Corvina said with certainty. "They were here recently. Search everything." For an agonizing hour, Lily and Koilo remained hidden in the cellar, listening to the systematic destruction of the cottage above them. Drawers were emptied, furniture overturned. Lily bit her lip to keep from crying out as she heard the crash of breaking glass, her mother's beloved collection of hand-blown ornaments perhaps, or the framed family photos on the mantel. Finally, the sound subsided. Car doors slammed, engines started, and the vehicles pulled away. Still, Lily waited another 20 minutes before daring to push open the cellar door and peer into the kitchen. The cottage had been ransacked. Every cupboard stood open, contents spilled across counters and floor. The living room was worse. Sofa cushions slashed, bookshelves emptied, her father's desk broken into splinters. Rain poured in through a broken window, soaking the scattered papers and photographs that littered the floor. Tears welled in Lily's eyes as she surveyed the destruction. Her home, her sanctuary, violated by strangers searching for the injured being she had brought back from the forest. A being that claimed magic was real, and that she, Lily Morgan, possessed it too. "I'm sorry," came Kalo's soft voice from behind her. The guardian stood unsteadily in the cellar doorway, blanket wrapped around its shoulders like a cloak. In the better light of the kitchen, Lily could see hints of gold and russet in the feathers that crowned its head, matching the colors of the owl she had first encountered. "This destruction is my doing." Lily wiped away her tears, a strange calm settling over her. "No, it's their doing, and they'll pay for it." The fierceness in her voice surprised even her. "But first, we need to treat your wing." Using her mother's medical supplies, Lily cleaned and splinted Kalo's injured wing arm as best she could. The guardian remained stoic throughout the painful process, only occasionally letting out soft hoots that reminded Lily of the owl form. "Why were you in the tree hollow?" Lily asked as she secured the last bandage. "How did you get trapped?" Kalo's expression darkened. "I was fleeing the collectors. They attacked my ancestral grove 3 nights ago, capturing many of my kind. I escaped, but one of their weapons grazed my wing." The guardian touched the splint gingerly. "I took owl form to hide, but the injury weakened my magic. When I sought shelter in the ancient oak, I became trapped between forms. Too weak to complete the transformation, too weak to free myself. And now they've found you again," Lily said grimly, looking around at the destroyed cottage. "Because of me. Because of your kindness," Kalo corrected. "A debt I am bound to repay." The guardian's eyes suddenly widened, head tilting in that distinctly owl-like manner. "Your parents, they will return soon?" Lily's stomach dropped. Her parents. In all the chaos, she had forgotten they would be coming home that evening. "They can't come back here. The collectors might return, might hurt them to get to you." "To get to us," Kalo said solemnly. "You are involved now, Lily Morgan. The magic in your blood has awakened at my touch. It calls to them as surely as mine does." "Magic in my blood? What are you talking about?" Lily demanded. But even as she spoke, she noticed something strange. The broken glass from a nearby picture frame was slowly, almost imperceptibly, pulling itself back together, shards inching across the floor toward their wooden frame. Kalo nodded toward the glass. "You come from an old lineage, a family of guardians who chose to live as humans generations ago. The magic has thinned, but never disappeared. My presence has stirred it awake." Lily stared at her hands in disbelief, then back at the glass fragments that had now formed a neat pile, as if gathering themselves for repair. "That's not possible," she whispered, though the evidence was before her eyes. "Many impossible things are true," Kalo said simply. "But we have no time for a full explanation. The collectors will return with reinforcements when they realize their quarry has eluded them. We must leave this place." "But where will we go? My parents, we must warn them, then flee. Is there a way to send them a message? To tell them to stay away?" Lily thought quickly. Her father always kept his phone on silent while driving, but he checked texts at rest stops. She found her own phone buried under debris in her bedroom and sent a desperate message. "Don't come home. Danger. Go to Aunt Mara's. We'll explain later. I'm safe. Love you." Aunt Mara lived 2 towns over, far enough to be safe, Lily hoped. As she tucked the phone into her pocket, a new worry surfaced. "The collectors broke my parents' things looking for you. What if they hurt my parents to find us?" Kalo's expression was grave. "It is possible. The collectors are ruthless in their pursuit of magic." Lily's hands trembled as she reached for her backpack, which had somehow survived the destruction unscathed. "Then we need to lead them away from here, away from my family, She began filling the bag with essentials: a change of clothes, the remaining medical supplies, food from the kitchen that hadn't been ruined. There's an old fire watch tower deep in the forest. My dad showed it to me once. No one uses it anymore. We could hide there while we figure out what to do. Kalo nodded approval. A wise choice. But the journey will be dangerous. The forest paths are watched. Then we won't take the paths, Lily said with newfound determination. She pulled on a dry sweater and her sturdiest boots. My dad taught me how to navigate by the stars and how to move without leaving tracks. We'll make it. As they prepared to leave, Lily noticed a strange shimmer in the air around Kylo, like heat rising from sun-baked asphalt. "Are you changing back into an owl?" she asked. Kylo shook its head, grimacing. "I'm trying, but the injury prevents a full transformation. I am caught between forms, not fully owl, not fully myself." The Guardian looked vulnerable suddenly, younger somehow. "I am weakened, Lily Morgan. In my true form, I could shield us both with powerful magic. Like this." The being gestured at its small body with its good arm. "I can offer little protection." A fierce protectiveness surged through Lily. "Then I'll protect you this time," she said, offering her hand to the Guardian. "We'll protect each other." Outside, the storm had passed, leaving the forest dripping and fresh. Night was falling rapidly, bringing with it the cover of darkness they desperately needed. Lily led the way behind the cottage, avoiding the muddy ground where footprints would be visible. Instead, they picked their way across exposed roots and stones, leaving minimal trace of their passage. Just as they reached the tree line, Lily heard the distant rumble of an engine. Headlights swept the driveway, illuminating the broken front window of the cottage. "They're back already," she whispered, pulling Kylo deeper into the forest's shadows. But it wasn't the black SUV or the silver car that pulled up to the cottage. It was her parents' familiar blue truck, returning hours earlier than expected. Lily's heart froze in her chest. "No," she breathed. "No, no, no." Her father emerged first, then her mother. Even from a distance, Lily could see their expressions of shock as they took in the damaged front door. They called her name, voices tight with fear as they rushed inside. "We have to warn them," Lily said, already stepping forward. Kylo caught her arm, surprisingly strong despite the injury. "Wait, look." A pair of headlights appeared on the road, approaching fast, the black SUV, returning just as Kylo had predicted. But now Lily's parents were inside the ruined cottage, unaware of the danger speeding toward them. "They'll hurt them," Lily said, panic rising in her throat. "They'll hurt my parents to get to us." Kylo's expression was pained but resolute. "Then I must surrender myself." "What?" No exclamation mark, Lily protested, but Kylo was already moving toward the edge of the trees. "It is the only way to ensure your family's safety," the Guardian said softly. "The debt I owe you." "Forget the debt." Lily's voice was fierce, despite her attempt to stay quiet. "I didn't help you, so you could sacrifice yourself later. There must be another way." In the distance, car doors slammed as the collectors arrived at the cottage. Lily could see Corvina's tall figure emerging from the vehicle, followed by two others. They moved with purpose toward the front door where, moments before, her parents had entered. Time seemed to slow down as Lily looked between Kylo and her home, torn between protecting her new friend and saving her family. Then, a strange sensation began to build within her, a warmth spreading from her chest to her fingertips, pulsing in rhythm with her racing heart. The same magic Kylo had spoken of, awakening in her moment of desperate need. Without fully understanding what she was doing, Lily raised her hands toward the cottage. Words she had never heard before tumbled from her lips in a language that felt ancient and natural all at once. The air around her fingers shimmered golden, and suddenly a translucent dome of light enveloped the cottage, barely visible except where raindrops struck it and sizzled into steam. Corvina stopped abruptly at the edge of the dome, her hand reaching out to touch the barrier. Even from a distance, Lily could see the woman's expression of shock, followed by a cold fury as her head snapped around, scanning the tree line. "She senses you," Kylo whispered, awe in its voice. "The shield spell. How did you know it?" Lily shook her head, equally astonished. "I didn't. It just happened." Her arms were trembling with the effort of maintaining the shield, but a fierce joy filled her at the sight of the collector's frustration. They could not enter her home, could not harm her parents. "The magic runs stronger in you than I thought," Kylo murmured, "but you cannot hold this shield forever. We must move quickly while they are distracted." Lily knew the Guardian was right. Already the golden light was flickering, her untrained abilities reaching their limit. With a final glance at her protected home, she let her arms drop. The shield remained, but fainter now, a lingering echo of her power. "The watchtower," she said, her decision made. "We go there, regroup, and then find a way to defeat these collectors once and for all." She looked at Kylo, a silent question in her eyes. The Guardian nodded, a new respect evident in its expression. "Lead on, young Guardian. It seems I have much to teach you, and perhaps much to learn from you as well." Together, they vanished into the depths of Whispering Pines Forest, leaving behind the golden dome that shielded Lily's parents from the collector's wrath. Neither knew what challenges awaited them at the abandoned watchtower, or how they would face the pursuit that would surely follow. What Lily did know was that her life had changed irrevocably the moment she had followed that strange feeling into the forest and found an owl trapped in a hollow tree. An owl that wasn't really an owl at all, but a magical being who had awakened something extraordinary within her. And somewhere deep inside, beyond the fear and confusion, a small voice whispered that this was always her destiny, that the magic in her blood had been waiting all along for this moment to bloom. The forest at night was a different world entirely. Shadows stretched like grasping fingers across the ground, and every sound, the rustle of leaves, the snap of twigs, the call of night creatures, seemed amplified in the darkness. Lily led the way, moving with newfound confidence through terrain she had known her entire life, yet somehow saw with fresh eyes now. Kylo limped along beside her, the makeshift splint on its wing arm holding steady. The Guardian's eyes glowed softly in the darkness, providing just enough light to illuminate the path immediately ahead. Neither spoke much as they traveled, both aware that voices could carry in the night air. After nearly an hour of careful progress, Kylo suddenly froze, head tilting in that distinctly owl-like manner. "What is it?" Lily whispered, instinctively crouching lower. "Listen," the Guardian murmured. At first, Lily heard nothing unusual, just the normal sounds of the forest at night. Then, faintly, she detected it, a low, mechanical hum, like the distant drone of an engine. But this sound came not from the ground but from above. "Look," Kylo said, pointing upward with its good arm. Through gaps in the canopy, Lily could see a dark shape moving across the star-studded sky. It was roughly rectangular, with no lights to identify it, moving too slowly and quietly to be a normal aircraft. "Searchers," Kylo explained, voice tight with tension. "The collectors have deployed their sky vessels." "They can see us from up there?" Lily asked, fear creeping into her voice. "Not easily through the trees, but they have instruments that detect magical signatures." The guardian touched Lily's arm gently. "And you, young one, are now blazing like a beacon since you cast that shield." Lily's heart sank. Her impulsive use of magic she hadn't even known she possessed until hours ago, had put them in greater danger. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't think—" "You acted to protect your family," Kalo interrupted. "Never apologize for that, but we must be more cautious now." The guardian looked around, considering their options. "Is there a stream nearby?" "Water disrupts their tracking devices." Lily nodded, mentally reorienting herself. "There's a creek about half a mile east. It eventually joins the river that runs near the watchtower." "Perfect. We'll follow it as far as we can." They changed direction, moving east through increasingly dense underbrush. Lily's legs were scratched and aching by the time they reached the creek, a narrow ribbon of water gurgling over smooth stones. Without hesitation, Kolo stepped into the shallow water, wincing as the cold current swirled around its ankles. "We walk in the water from here," the guardian instructed. "It will mask our trail and dampen our magical signatures." The creek bed was slippery, and the water numbed Lily's feet through her boots, but she didn't complain. The aerial searcher made another pass overhead, closer this time, its engines humming like a swarm of mechanical insects. Lily and Kalo froze in place, barely breathing until it passed. "They're using a grid search pattern," Kalo observed. "Methodical, thorough." "How many of these collectors are there?" Lily asked as they resumed their careful progress downstream. "Enough to be dangerous," Kalo replied grimly. "They operate in cells across the world, harvesting magic wherever they find it." Harvesting. The word sent a chill through Lily that had nothing to do with the cold water soaking her feet. "You mean stealing? Worse than stealing." The guardian's voice was hollow. "They extract it, often at the cost of the bearer's life." Lily stumbled on a slick stone, nearly falling before Kylo steadied her with its good arm. "They kill for it? But why? What do they use it for? Power, of course. What else do humans ever seek?" There was centuries of weariness in Kylo's voice. "Magic can be stored, transferred, weaponized. The collectors sell it to the highest bidders, governments, corporations, individuals with enough wealth to purchase what isn't rightfully theirs." "But not all humans are like that," Lily protested. "My parents dedicate their lives to helping injured creatures, and I helped you." Kylo's expression softened. "Yes, you did. Forgive me. I have seen too many of my kind fall to the collector's greed. It makes one bitter over time." They continued in silence for a while, the creek gradually widening as smaller tributaries joined it. The water level rose to mid-calf, then knee-high in some places. Lily's legs ached with cold, but she pressed on, drawing strength from Koilo's steady presence beside her. When the creek finally merged with the river, a broader, deeper flow that cut through the heart of whispering pines, they climbed onto the rocky bank, grateful to be out of the frigid water. In the east, the faintest hint of gray suggested dawn wasn't far off. "We should rest," Lily suggested, noting Kylo's increasingly labored breathing. The guardian's injured wing had begun to droop despite the splint, and a feverish sheen had appeared on its forehead. "You're pushing yourself too hard." Kalo didn't argue, a concerning sign in itself. They found shelter beneath the gnarled roots of an ancient willow that grew along the riverbank, its curtain of branches providing additional concealment. Lily spread her jacket on the ground, insisting that Kolo lie down. "Your wing is warm," she observed, gently touching the splinted limb. "That could mean infection." "The physical injury is only part of the problem," Kalo admitted. When a guardian is wounded, our magic works constantly to heal us, depleting our reserves. Without access to my sacred grove to replenish that magic. The being trailed off, exhaustion evident in every line of its face. Lily rummaged through her backpack, pulling out the small first aid kit she had grabbed from the cottage. Her mother always included willow bark among the supplies, a natural anti-inflammatory and pain reliever. She found the small packet and mixed a portion with water from her bottle. "Drink this," she urged, helping Kylo sit up enough to sip the bitter liquid. "It will help with the pain and fever." The guardian complied, grimacing at the taste. "Your knowledge of natural remedies is impressive for one so young." "My parents taught me," Lily said, a pang of worry for her mother and father squeezing her heart. "I hope they're safe." "Your shield spell was powerful," Kylo reassured her. "It will hold for some time, but not forever," Lily said softly, staring at her hands. The same hands that had somehow conjured golden light out of nothing. "I don't even know how I did it. How am I supposed to learn to control this magic?" Kylo studied her with those starlit eyes. Magic responds to need and emotion more than conscious control, especially at first. You needed to protect your parents, so your magic found a way. The guardian shifted position, wincing. "With training, you could become quite powerful. The bloodline of human guardians is rare and precious." Before Lily could ask more questions about this mysterious bloodline, a sound caught her attention. Voices, distant but approaching, accompanied by the splash of footsteps in water. The collectors had found the creek and were following it downstream. "They're coming," she whispered, panic rising in her throat. Kylo struggled to rise, but Lily gently pushed the guardian back down. "You're in no condition to run. We need to hide." Looking around frantically, Lily spotted a hollow in the riverbank, partially concealed by the willow's roots and a tangle of river debris. It wasn't ideal, but it might work if the searchers didn't look too carefully. "There," she pointed. "We can squeeze in and pull those branches over the opening." Together, they shuffled into the cramped space. Lily positioned herself near the entrance, where she could peer through a small gap in the branches. Kylo curled behind her, its breathing shallow and rapid from the exertion. The voices grew louder. Through her peephole, Lily could make out 3 figures wading along the river's edge, sweeping handheld devices back and forth over the water's surface. They wore the same dark clothing she had seen on Corvina and her companions, with the addition of what looked like night vision goggles. "Signal's getting stronger," one said, a woman with a sharp, clipped accent. "The guardian came this way, and it's not alone." "The girl from the cottage?" asked another, a tall man with broad shoulders. "Corvina thinks she's a latent," replied the woman. "Untrained, but naturally gifted. Those are always the most valuable." Lily's blood ran cold at the casual way they discussed her, like she was a commodity to be collected rather than a person. She felt Kylo's hand on her shoulder, a silent reminder to stay calm, stay hidden. The third figure, shorter than the others, paused near their hiding place. "Wait, I'm getting a reading from over here." Lily held her breath as the figure approached the willow tree, device extended. It beeped softly, the sound growing more frequent as it neared the tangle of roots that concealed them. "Found something," the short one called out. "Definitely magical signature and recent." The tall man joined his companion, studying the readout on the device. "Could be residual. They might have rested here before moving on." Only one way to find out. The short one produced what looked like a pistol from beneath their coat. Except, instead of a barrel, it featured a glass cylinder filled with swirling silver liquid, similar to the vial Corvina had shown in the clearing. Lily felt Kylo tense behind her, felt the Guardian's fear radiating like heat. Whatever that weapon was, it terrified the magical being. Just as the Collector began pushing aside branches to investigate the hollow, a howl echoed through the forest, loud, close, and distinctly wolf-like. All three Collectors froze. "Wolves?" the woman said incredulously. "There haven't been wolves in these woods for decades." Another howl answered the first, then another, until it seemed like a dozen wolves were calling to each other from all directions. The Collectors drew closer together, weapons raised. "This isn't natural," the tall one muttered. "Something's wrong." Suddenly, a massive shape burst from the underbrush across the river. A wolf, larger than any Lily had ever seen in books or nature documentaries, its fur silvery in the pre-dawn light. It stood on the opposite bank, yellow eyes fixed on the Collectors, teeth bared in a silent snarl. More wolves emerged from the trees, surrounding the three humans on both sides of the river. None made a move to attack. They simply stood their ground, a barrier of fur and fang and unblinking stare. The woman raised her weapon, aiming at the largest wolf. "Guardians," she hissed. "They've called allies." Before she could fire, the alpha wolf threw back its head and howled, a sound so primal and powerful that Lily felt it resonate in her very bones. As the note hung in the air, the wolf's form began to shimmer and change, much as Kylo's had done in the clearing. Where the wolf had stood, a tall figure now rose, a woman with silver-gray hair that flowed like a mane down her back, yellow eyes that retained their animal intensity, and a lithe body clothed in what appeared to be living vines and leaves. "You trespass in protected lands, Collectors." The wolf woman's voice rolled like thunder across the water. "These woods are under our guardianship." The Collectors faltered, clearly outnumbered as more wolves began their own transformations into half-human forms. Without a word, the three intruders backed away, then turned and fled upstream, splashing noisily in their haste to escape. Lily watched in awe as the wolf woman crossed the river in a single, powerful leap, landing gracefully on their side. The other wolf people spread out, some maintaining their animal forms to track the retreating Collectors, others approaching the willow tree where Lily and Kylo hid. "You can come out now, young ones," the wolf woman called, her voice gentler now but still carrying an undercurrent of wild power. "We mean you no harm." Lily glanced back at Kylo, uncertain. The Guardian nodded weakly. "Wolf Guardians," it whispered. "Old allies, we can trust them." Carefully, Lily emerged from the hollow, helping Kylo crawl out after her. The Guardian stumbled, nearly collapsing before Lily caught its weight. The wolf woman was at their side instantly, supporting Kylo's other side with surprising gentleness. "I am Silra, Alpha of the Eastern Pack," she introduced herself. Yellow eyes assessed Kylo's condition with concern. "You are badly wounded, Featherkin." "Collectors," Kylo managed. "They attacked my grove, captured my kin." Silra's expression darkened, a growl rumbling in her throat. "The balance of these woods has been disturbed for days. Now we know why." Her gaze shifted to Lily. "And who is this human child who carries the old magic in her veins?" "Lily Morgan," Kylo answered before Lily could speak. "She freed me when I was trapped, shielded her family from the Collectors. She is of the bloodline." Murmurs rippled through the gathered wolf people at this revelation. Silra studied Lily with new interest, nostrils flaring slightly as if catching her scent. "Morgan," she repeated. "Yes, I remember the name. Your grandmother once walked these woods with us, child." Lily stared in shock. My grandmother? But she was just a normal person. She ran the town library before she died. A smile curved Silra's lips, revealing teeth still sharper than human. Is that what they told you? Eliza Morgan was a guardian liaison, a human with the gift, who helped maintain peace between our kinds and kept watch for collector activity. She placed a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. It seems the gift has passed to you. But my parents never said anything, Lily protested. They can't be guardians too, or they would have told me. Not all children of the bloodline inherit the gift, Silra explained. Your parents might not carry active magic themselves, or ... Her expression grew thoughtful. They might have hidden the truth to protect you. The collectors have grown more aggressive in recent years. Before Lily could process this revelation about her family, Kalo sagged against her, the guardian's strength finally giving out. Silra caught the small being before it could fall. Your friend needs healing beyond what human remedies can provide, the wolf woman said urgently, and you need sanctuary. The collectors will not give up their hunt so easily. She whistled, a sharp sound that brought one of the largest wolves trotting to her side. We will take you to the Heart Grove. It is not far, and it has been a sanctuary for all guardians since time beyond memory. But the watchtower, Lily began, is no longer safe, Silra finished for her. The collectors know these woods too well now. They would find you there eventually. She helped position Kalo on the great wolf's back, then turned to Lily. You have questions, many questions. At the Heart Grove you will find some answers. Too exhausted and overwhelmed to argue, Lily nodded. Dawn was breaking fully now, golden light filtering through the trees. In the growing brightness, she could see the wolf people more clearly, some fully human in appearance, save for their yellow eyes and slightly pointed ears, others maintaining more wolf-like features, fur-covered limbs, elongated faces, powerful builds. All watched her with a mixture of curiosity and respect that made her uncomfortable. Come, Silra said, indicating another wolf waiting nearby. Ride with Fenris. He is gentle despite his size. Lily approached the massive wolf cautiously. He lowered himself to make mounting easier, amber eyes watching her with an intelligence that was clearly beyond that of a normal animal. With Silra's help, Lily settled onto the wolf's broad back, fingers curling into thick fur. Hold tight, but do not fear, Silra instructed. Fenris will not let you fall. As if understanding the words, the wolf rose smoothly, careful not to jostle his rider. Lily looked over at Kylo, now secured on the other wolf's back. The guardian's eyes were closed, face pale and drawn with pain. Will Kalo be all right? She asked, unable to keep the worry from her voice. Silra's expression was grave, but not hopeless. The Heart Grove has powerful healing properties for all guardian kinds. If we reach it in time, yes, I believe your friend will recover. She whistled again, a different pattern this time, and the entire pack began to move as one, melting into the forest with a silence that seemed impossible for such large creatures. Rest if you can, Silra advised, loping alongside Fenris with effortless grace. The journey is not long, but you have had a trying night. You are safe with us now. Though Lily doubted she could sleep while riding on a giant wolf's back, the rhythmic movement and the warm fur beneath her had a lulling effect. The adrenaline that had kept her going through the night was ebbing, leaving behind bone-deep exhaustion. Despite her worry for Kalo, her parents, and her own uncertain future, her eyelids grew heavy. Just before sleep claimed her, a thought surfaced in her weary mind. Her grandmother, the quiet, book-loving woman who had told her the most wonderful stories of magical creatures in the forest, had been part of this hidden world all along. Had she known, somehow, that Lily would one day discover it too? Had all those bedtime tales been preparation for this moment? The question followed her into dreams filled with golden shields, starlit eyes, and wolves that walked like humans through an ancient, whispering forest. Lily awoke to the sensation of being gently lifted from Fenris's back. Disoriented, she blinked in the dappled sunlight, trying to make sense of her surroundings. The forest here was different. Older somehow, the trees towering to impossible heights, their canopies creating a cathedral-like space beneath. The air smelled sweeter, filled with the scent of unfamiliar blossoms that seemed to glow with soft inner light. "Welcome to the Heart Grove, Lily Morgan," said Silra, setting her carefully on her feet. Few humans have ever seen this place. Still groggy from her unexpected sleep, Lily turned in a slow circle, taking in the wonder of the grove. The trees here grew in a perfect circle, their massive trunks covered in luminescent moss that pulsed gently, like breathing. At the center stood a single tree, larger than all the others, its bark a silvery white, its leaves a mixture of all seasonal colors: spring green, summer gold, autumn red, winter silver, existing together in impossible harmony. "The mother tree," Silra explained, following Lily's gaze, "the first tree that grew in these woods from which all other guardians draw strength." "It's beautiful," Lily whispered, awed by the ancient presence she could feel emanating from the tree. It felt alive in a way that went beyond normal plant life, conscious, watchful, wise. Her moment of wonder was broken by the memory of Kalo. She looked around frantically, spotting the small guardian being carried toward the mother tree by two wolf people who had fully shifted to human form. "Kalo," she started, moving to follow, but Silra gently held her back. "The healing rituals require space and concentration," the wolf woman explained. "Your friend is in good hands. The tree guardians will tend to one of their own." Indeed, as Lily watched, figures emerged from behind the massive trunk of the mother tree, slender beings with bark-like skin and hair that resembled leaves or moss, moving with the swaying grace of branches in a breeze. They took Kalo from the wolf people, their expressions solemn as they assessed the injured guardian. One of the tree beings, taller than the others, with a crown of golden leaves that matched the color of Kalo's feathers, placed a hand on the injured wing. A soft glow emanated from the touch, spreading slowly across the splinted limb. Kalo's face relaxed, the lines of pain easing visibly even from a distance. "The elders of the grove are skilled healers," Silra said reassuringly. "Now, you must be hungry." Only at the mention of food did Lily realize how famished she was. She hadn't eaten since yesterday's breakfast, before all this began. Her stomach growled loudly, and she blushed. Silra smiled, the expression softening her fierce features. "Come. While the healers work, we will feed you and answer some of your questions." The wolf woman led Lily to a smaller clearing within the Heart Grove, where several wolf people had gathered around a naturally formed table, a flat stone supported by thick, exposed roots. Food was already laid out. Strange fruits Lily had never seen before, nuts, honeycomb, and what looked like freshly baked bread. "Sit," Silra invited, indicating a mossy log that served as a bench. "Eat, regain your strength." Lily hesitated only briefly before hunger overcame caution. The fruit was sweeter than anything she had tasted before, bursting with juice that seemed to restore energy with every swallow. The bread was dense and nutty, surprisingly filling. As she ate, other guardians gathered around, watching her with undisguised curiosity. They have not seen a human of the bloodline in many years, Silra explained, noticing Lily's discomfort at being the center of attention. Not since your grandmother's time. At the mention of her grandmother, Lily set down the fruit she had been eating. You knew her well? Silra nodded, a fond expression crossing her face. Eliza Morgan was a friend to all Guardian kinds. She had a gift for diplomacy, bringing together the different Guardian factions when disputes arose, helping us understand the human world beyond our forests. The wolf woman's expression grew sad. Her loss was felt deeply among us. She died when I was 6, Lily said softly. I barely remember her except for the stories she used to tell me. A thought struck her. Were they stories? Or was she telling me about all of you, about this world? Likely both, Silra replied. The old ways must be preserved, but directly revealing our existence to a child too young to understand the need for secrecy would have been dangerous. The wolf woman studied Lily thoughtfully. She must have sensed the potential in you even then. The bloodline gifts often manifest around puberty, though they can awaken earlier under stress or in the presence of other strong magic. Like when I met Kalo, Lily realized. But why didn't my parents ever tell me any of this? If my grandmother was so involved with guardians, surely they knew. A new voice answered from behind her, deep, resonant, with the quality of rustling leaves. Perhaps they sought to protect you from the burden of knowledge. Lily turned to find the tall tree guardian with the golden leaf crown standing there, hands folded serenely before him. Up close, she could see that his skin resembled birch bark, pale with darker striations, and his eyes were the deep green of forest shadows. Elder Oren, Silra greeted him with a respectful inclination of her head. How fares our wounded friend? Kalo rests now, drawing strength from the mother tree, the elder replied. The physical wounds will heal in time. The magical depletion is more concerning, but not beyond recovery. His green gaze shifted to Lily. Thanks to this young one's timely intervention. Had Kalo remained trapped another day or fallen into the collector's hands, he let the grim possibility hang unspoken. Lily swallowed hard. Will Kalo be okay? Yes, Oren assured her with a gentle smile that cracked the bark-like texture of his face. Though full recovery will take time. In the meantime, he continued, seating himself across from her at the stone table. We have matters to discuss. Silra tells me you manifested a shield spell instinctively, with no training. I didn't even know I could do magic until yesterday, Lily admitted. It just happened when my parents were in danger. Oren and Silra exchanged significant looks. Raw talent, the tree elder murmured, rare in ones so diluted by human blood. He extended a hand toward Lily, palm up. May I? After a reassuring nod from Silra, Lily cautiously placed her hand in Oren's. His bark-like skin was surprisingly warm and smooth, and as their hands touched, a tingling sensation traveled up her arm. The elder's eyes closed in concentration, the golden leaves of his crown rustling slightly, though there was no breeze. Interesting, he said after a moment, releasing her hand. The magic flows strongly in you, but differently than in your grandmother. Hers was the gift of communication, of bridging worlds. Yours, ... He tilted his head, considering. Yours is more primal, protection, creation, raw power shaped by will and emotion. Is that good? Lily asked uncertainly. It is neither good nor bad, it simply is. Oren's expression grew serious. But power without control can be dangerous to yourself and others. You will need training, young guardian. But who will train me, and what about my parents? I can't just disappear into the forest forever. Of course not, Silra assured her. No one suggests that, but the collectors now know of your existence, of your power. They will not stop hunting you." A cold knot of fear formed in Lily's stomach. "What about my parents? Will the collectors go after them to get to me?" "The shield you cast will protect them for now," Oren said, "but it will fade in time. We have sent messengers to watch over your home and alert us if the collectors return." He leaned forward, his wooden fingers lacing together. "As for who will train you, the Heart Grove has been a place of learning for guardians of all kinds since time immemorial. Here, you can learn to control your gifts, to understand the responsibilities they entail." "But I need to let my parents know I'm safe. They must be worried sick." "And so they shall know," Oren promised. "We are not without means of communication. Once Kalo is stronger, we will send word to your family." Lily frowned, not entirely satisfied with this answer. "Why wait? Why not just take me home now that we're safe from the collectors?" Silra and Oren exchanged another of those meaningful looks that was beginning to irritate Lily. There was something they weren't telling her. "What is it?" she demanded. "What aren't you saying?" After a moment of silence, it was Silra who answered. "The collectors who pursued you and Kalo were merely one cell of a larger organization. They report to others. By now, word of a human girl with untapped magical potential has likely spread through their networks." The wolf woman's yellow eyes held Lily's steadily. "They will not send 3 next time. They will send 30, perhaps more. All the more reason for me to warn my parents." "Your home is being watched," Oren interrupted gently. "Not just by our allies, but by the collectors as well. If you return now, you lead them straight to your family." The realization hit Lily like a physical blow. She was the danger to her parents now. Her very presence would put them at risk. "Then what am I supposed to do?" she asked, her voice small and lost. Oren's expression was compassionate but firm. "Learn to control your power. Only then can you protect yourself and those you love from what hunts you." "And the collectors who took Kalo's people?" Lily asked, anger beginning to replace her fear. "What about them? Are we just going to hide while they hurt more guardians?" A rustling murmur ran through the gathered wolf people and tree guardians at her words. Silra's eyes gleamed with approval. "No, young one," the wolf woman said. "We are not hiding, we are preparing. The collector's attack on Kalo's Grove was merely the latest in a series of increasingly bold incursions into our territories. For too long, the different guardian factions have stood apart, defending only their own. That ends now. A council has been called," Oren added. "Representatives from all guardian kinds will gather here in 3 days' time. Together, we will plan our response to the collector threat." "But why now?" Lily asked. "Kalo said the collectors have been hunting guardians for a long time. Because of you," came a familiar voice, rustling like leaves in a breeze. Lily turned to see Kalo approaching slowly, supported by 2 of the tree guardians. The small being looked better already. Color had returned to its face, and though the splint remained on its wing arm, it no longer seemed to cause as much pain. "Kalo!" Lily rushed to her friend's side. "You should be resting." The guardian smiled weakly. "I heard my name, and this conversation concerns me as well." With the helper's assistance, Kalo settled onto the mossy log beside Lily. "To answer your question, yes, the collectors have long hunted our kind, but their recent aggression suggests something has changed. They seek more magic, more urgently than before. And now they have seen what you can do," Oren added gravely. "A human with guardian blood who can cast powerful magic instinctively. You represent something they have long sought, a way to bridge the gap between human technology and guardian magic." "Me?" Lily shook her head in disbelief. But I don't know anything. I cast one spell by accident. It is not what you know, Silra said. It is what you are, a conduit between worlds. The collectors have tried for generations to harness guardian magic using technology, with limited success. The magics resist them, for they take without permission, without respect. But you, Kalo continued, your very blood carries both worlds within it. Human, yet capable of channeling pure guardian magic. To them, you are the key they have sought, the missing piece in their quest to weaponize what they cannot truly understand. The weight of this revelation settled over Lily like a physical burden. Yesterday, she had been an ordinary girl living at the edge of a forest. Today, she was a hunted magical hybrid, apparently crucial to some shadowy organization's plans for power. "This is too much," she whispered, hands trembling slightly. "I never asked for any of this." "Few of us choose our destinies," Orin said kindly. "They choose us. But how we face them, that remains our choice." An uncomfortable silence fell over the gathering. Lily stared at her hands, the same hands that had somehow conjured a shield of golden light. Inside her, something fluttered like a trapped bird. Fear, yes, but also something else. Something that felt strangely like purpose. "If I train here," she said finally, looking up at the assembled guardians, "if I learn to control this power, what then? What happens after that?" "One step at a time, young one," Silra counseled. "First, you learn, then you choose." "But I will be able to contact my parents? To let them know I'm safe?" "Yes," Orin promised. "When the time is right, when we can ensure the message will not be intercepted by those who hunt you, you will speak with your family." Lily nodded slowly, accepting this compromise for now. Her thoughts turned to her parents, their faces when they had discovered the ransacked cottage, their fear when they couldn't find her. The pain of their worry was a physical ache in her chest. "They must be so scared," she murmured. Kalo placed a small hand on her arm. "Your parents are stronger than you know, Lily Morgan. If they are of the bloodline, even dormant, they understand more than you might think." "What do you mean?" The small guardian exchanged glances with Orin and Silra before answering. "The shield spell you cast, it would have resonated with any trace of guardian blood in your parents. They might not understand exactly what happened, but they would have felt it. Known, somehow, that you were protecting them. So, they might know I'm okay, that I'm with friends." "It is possible," Orin confirmed. "The bonds of blood and magic run deep." This thought provided some comfort, though Lily still yearned to speak to her parents directly, to hear their voices and assure them she was safe. But if what the guardian said was true, if the collectors were watching her home, waiting for her to return, then staying away was the kindest thing she could do for now. "All right," she said with newfound resolve. "I'll stay. I'll learn. But," she added, meeting each guardian's eyes in turn, "I want to help free Kylo's people too. I won't just hide here while the collectors hurt others." A smile spread across Silra's face, revealing those slightly too sharp teeth. "The bloodline speaks," the wolf woman said with approval. "Courage and compassion in equal measure, just like your grandmother." "Rest tonight," Orin advised, rising from his seat with the fluid grace of a tree swaying in the wind. "Tomorrow, your training begins." As the gathering dispersed, Kylo remained at Lily's side. The small guardian looked at her with those starlit eyes that had first captured her attention in the hollow of the ancient oak.